Good morning and welcome to Willow's Green Permaculture. Today I've got a review for you of the SeeSii 6-inch mini chainsaw. This thing is really convenient because you can use it like a sickle, because you can use it one hand. You see, like this, what? You can cut with this thing and only use in one hand. What's great about this is behind me here I've got a tree that we've cut down and there's a whole mess of branches. When you're using a regular chainsaw, well, you have to hold on to it using two hands. Or when you're using large pruning shears, which I'd need to use to cut a lot of these branches, you also have to use two hands. So you cut, and then if you have to get it out of the way, you have to put it down, move it. Whereas here, I can cut while I hold on to a branch, so I can cut it, move it, all in one movement, which is really great. What I'm going to show you today is a cleanup job, because Magali and I cut down about 10 30-meter tall trees, 90-foot trees. They're just lying all over the place and we need to clean up all their branches, and some of those branches are thick. We'll be able to cut them with this, and also we'll be able to get through to them by cutting all the small branches with this too, which is really convenient. With one tool we can do basically the cleanup of cutting down trees. I'll also see how it cuts some of the thicker branches. So if this is something you're interested in, then let's get started. Now this chainsaw comes with a nice little 2-amp-hour battery. It's usable with the batteries of the other SeeSii products, because I've got the 8-inch 2-in-1 chainsaw and pole saw, which comes with two 4AH batteries, and it works with this as well. And so this is really convenient. This works by, you push these two buttons together like that. Again, now you can let go of that one and it still works. As soon as you let go of this one, then it stops. Here's where you put in the oil. If you need to use oil, if you feel you need to oil your chain, then you just press this button like this. While you're using it, press the button like that, and it oils your chain. Now the thing is, with these little mini chainsaws, you're not generally cutting through really thick branches, so it doesn't take very long. Even with such a small chainsaw, if you're cutting through a branch that's almost as thick as the chainsaw, which isn't really recommendable, I'd say you don't want to cut through a branch that's more than half as thick as your chainsaw is long, but you still can. You could cut through a branch that's 5 or 6 inches thick, between 12.5 and 15 centimeters thick. You can, and even with a small chainsaw like this, you're going to cut through it pretty quickly, which means this doesn't really need a whole lot of oil, because it's only when you're cutting through really thick branches that your chain starts to really heat up. I've used the SeeSii 8-inch one, and I've used it over many days and have not had to change the oil once, which is really nice. And the oil I use is a variety that is good for use in sub-freezing temperatures. We're below freezing now out there, and so you need an oil that's gonna work for that. And the chain doesn't really loosen up too much either. So these are some really good items. Now we've got this bar here, a safety bar. This is the knob that you use if your chain falls off and you need to take this whole section off in order to put your chain back on. Well, this is what you're going to unscrew. And then if your chain needs tightening, well, there's your screw right there for tightening your chain. So after all those branches we cut, the chain is a little bit loose, so I'm going to show you how we tighten it. I recorded this portion after doing all the work with the chainsaw. The screwdriver is also included in the kit. That's about it. And then here's the battery, comes off. Now this chainsaw comes with gloves, but it's minus 10 degrees Celsius out today. It's pretty cold. The gloves it comes with are good, but not for minus 10 degrees Celsius. It also comes with an extra chain, which is really nice. So let's get started. I'm gonna clean up these branches, and if I was using a big pair of pruning shears, which I would need for this thickness, I'd have to use two arms, and so it'd take a lot longer. This I can use like it was a sickle. So watch. I hold on to the branch, I cut, and there we go. Make sure I've got my safety glasses on. Make sure you keep that second hand far from the chain. Now, when you've got elasticy branches like this with a regular chainsaw that you're using with two hands, you can't cut them with this because it'll get pulled into the inside of the chainsaw and make the chain fall off. So when you want to get a branch like this out of the way, you pull it nice and tight so it's not elasticy anymore, and you make your cut. There you go, and it doesn't pull in, because if it pulls into the chainsaw, then it's going to make your chain fall off. These little pieces are going to make really good firewood, which is nice. Now I've got this piece here I want to cut, but first I want to get rid of some of these upper parts so that the lower part will come out more easily. So I'm going to start up here, down to the ground. As you can see, I'm trying to clear the path. You can see the path continuing behind. And this little mini chainsaw is really making the task easy. Cut through these big pieces. Right over here. When branches are leaning, you have to be careful not to get the chainsaw caught in a pinch in the top of the cut. And so you have to cut partially on top and then finish the cut on the bottom. Okay, so this branch here, this is about 5 inches, which is about 12.5 centimeters. This is a 6-inch chainsaw, so this is about as thick of a branch as you would want to use on this without stressing the machine too much. You see, you can hear it like really shaking a lot. That's because this is a real thick branch for this. Was starting to fall in the other direction. I don't want to get my chainsaw stuck. There we go. This piece out of the way. So there you go. I'm going to cut this piece just again, just so you can see that's about as thick of a piece that you would want to use with this chainsaw without putting too much stress on the engineering. So watch. But that's really good, because this thickness of branch, I mean, I'd never be able to cut this with a pair of pruning shears. So cleaning up this, as you can see behind me, I just want to get through my path here. I have to clean up all these branches, and most of them are this size or smaller. There are a few that might be a bit thicker, and I'll just need to use the chainsaw we use to cut these trees down, which is an 18-inch chainsaw. But this is great for the cleanup, and that way I don't have to use my big, huge chainsaw for it. So let's continue. This piece is even bigger, probably about 5.5 inches. There we go. So look at that. Closer look. You saw I cut through that nice big thick piece there. It's almost 6 inches, almost 15 centimeters. Go. Very nice. Just out of the way. Probably gonna cut it a bit more though. I want to pinch my saw down now from underneath. Okay, that piece is out of the way. So, this is a pretty good piece to have cut with a 6-inch chainsaw. All right, let's continue. Okay, I want to get through here, so cut through a bunch of these branches. So here's another situation where this little mini chainsaw comes in really handy, because I have all these little branches. Some of them I could cut with just a one-hand pruner, but some of them I have to use a two-handed pruner. So this would take a real long time to get through. So to cut all these, because they're flexible branches, I just hold them good and tight, pull at them, and then cut. That way they're not pulled into the chainsaw. Once I've cleared all these little branches, then I can get the big ones down. These safety glasses are the ones that came with the 8-inch chainsaw, and I find them very, very useful because they don't fog up in the cold. So many of my safety glasses fog up in the cold, and it's really frustrating, but these ones don't. So they work really well. Perfect for this type of situation. When you're cutting some of these branches that are leaning on the ground, as you're cutting them, they go like this. They move up, and so you're risking getting your chainsaw pinched into your branch, which means you're forced to pull off the whole thing and have to put the chain back on, and you don't want to do that. And so you start by cutting on top, and then when you're about halfway through the branch, you cut underneath. And then you don't get pinched. So I'm just going to do this as an example here, even though it's not leaning on anything. But let's say it were leaning on the ground or on another tree. So you cut first the top half. Okay, and then if this were leaning on another tree, because you've cut this section, the whole branch is going to start leaning upwards, and it's going to pinch that space that you've cut. And so then you finish the cut underneath. There you go. So you see, there's the top cut, there's the bottom cut. But very useful to know. Okay, so we've cleared through this section of the path, and all these cuts I've made on one battery charge. That's quite a few cuts. I'm really happy about that. I've never run out of a charge with these batteries. I got 2 bars left of power. Actually, I'm looking at it now as I edit with my glasses on. So my trail is cleared, and I can see there are 4 lights, so I still had 4 bars there. This is the first time Magali has ever used a chainsaw. So, after having cleared up all those branches from that big huge tree, all the different sizes, the little branches, the big branches, the really, really thick branches and so on, being able to cut through all that, clean it up with one tool that I can hold with one hand, I can tell you that that is really convenient. It's going to save me a whole lot of time doing cleanup in the forest when I cut down big trees. And it can cut down small trees. I've spoken a lot about buckthorn that I have in the forest. Well, this thing is going to be able to help me clear the buckthorn out, because not only will it be able to cut those trunks, which are a fair size, it'll be able to cut through those trunks, it's also going to be able to cut through the thousands and thousands of little shoots that like to grow, because the buckthorn is an aggressive grower, and I can just grab all those like I showed you in the video and just cut right through them so that they don't get stuck inside the chainsaw. I'm going to be able to do that with this, and this is going to be able to save me a lot of time, because using even just the hand pruners takes so much time. And I've had the 8-inch SeeSii Mini Chainsaw now for a few months, and I can tell you that it's really helped me to do that job. And so this SeeSii 6-inch one is going to be able to do the same thing. And you saw Magali using it as well, so she's really happy. Now we can be cleaning up the forest together at the same time using these things, and it'll save us a lot of time. So I highly recommend it. It's on a 40% discount between now and the end of the month, the end of February. There's a discount code in the video description along with a link to the product. So I recommend it. You can get one while you still have a chance. It's convenient. You can hold it with one hand. It's light. The battery lasts a long time. I still had 4 bars after all that work that I showed you, which is really nice. And that's what I've noticed about the 8-inch one as well. Now the batteries are twice as big with the 8-inch one. I never ran out of a charge for a day's work, which is really nice. And so I highly recommend it. If you're looking for a little mini convenient chainsaw that you can do many jobs with just the one tool, so you don't need to have a little pruner and a big chainsaw. It can do it all at once just with one tool, then I recommend this little SeeSii 6-inch mini chainsaw. You saw Magali using it. She's really happy. We can each have our own little mini chainsaw and clean up the forest together and have a lot of fun. Save a lot of time, save a lot of work. I hope you liked the video. Hope you found it useful. Hope you learned something from it, especially learned something about cutting trees. Well, if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, then please give it the thumbs up and please share it with your friends. And if you haven't done so yet, then subscribe to our channel. Support what we do here just by subscribing. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time. Actually, I got a video coming out tomorrow on Amaranth, so we'll see you tomorrow.